In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Pelikan M200 Cognac fountain pen with Italic Nib. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links to the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. All right, let's get on with the review. This is the Pelikan M200 fountain pen in Cognac, and this has an Italic nib. This is a pen that was sent to me by Pelikan, which is a fantastic pen and knife store in Scottsdale, Arizona. I got the chance to visit their store in November of last year, and you may know this pen, the Graf von Faber-Castell Intuition Platino wood pen. This is a very hard to find, relatively rare pen, and I got this when I visited their store in Scottsdale last November. So they have a lot of really cool new pens, but also old pens and consignment pens. It's a very fun store. The people are super nice. Check them out if you're in Scottsdale, or check them out online at pelikan.com. Now, they sent me this pen for review, and spoiler alert, I'm not sending it back because I absolutely love this pen. The Italic nib on this is fantastic. If you've been watching my channel for what would be a very long time now, one of the first pens I ever reviewed on this channel was a Pelikan M205, and I think I've forgotten how much I really like this pen. The M200 model was introduced in 1985, and it was a more affordable version of the M400, which would have been an evolution of the Pelikan 400, 400N, 400NN pens from the 40s and 50s. So this pen has something that a lot of steel nib fountain pens that are out there today don't have, and that's heritage and pedigree. This pen is very well refined, being out since 1985. It is a mature product. It's one of the most collectible Pelikans, if not the most collectible modern Pelikan model, just because there have been so many different versions. I think it would be the most fun to collect just because, one, they don't get too crazy expensive. They're not cheap. This is, I believe, $280 in the Cognac with the Italic nib. If you go with the standard black one, I think the retail's around like $220. So it's a pricey pen for a steel nib pen, but I just think these are, I don't want to say they're underrated because they're so well known, but I think it's easy to get lost in all of like the new crazy pens we have. You know, we have all these wild Chinese pens. We have crazy looking Italian pens like this Montegrappa. There's just a lot of new pens, and sometimes I think, at least for me, you kind of forget about some of the classics and how good they really are. Now, the Cognac model here was released in 2015. It was a special edition, not a limited edition. I do see these still floating out there for sale. Pelikan has some for sale, as well as some other stores. So while I don't see them listed in their current catalog, there are still plenty of new ones out there. The Italic nib was released, I believe, in 2008. This is a nib I hadn't tried before, but it's a really nice nib. In terms of the design, I'm not going to go too much into the design of this pen. It is classic Pelikan. You can see my old video on the M205. All those details are there. You know, we kind of have this stepped kind of Art Deco-y finial here, and the Pelikan beak clip. It's a very classic looking pen. On cap, we can see it says Germany and Pelikan, and they just put these on in whatever random order they want to put them on, so they never line up with anything, which I've gotten used to. In terms of the threading, it's one full turn to remove, which is pretty much perfect. It posts very, very nicely. This is the classic M400 size. This was the size that they only made for the longest time until we got the M800. This was basically the size that was known, Pelikan was known for. It was a full-size pen back in the day. I do find that the grip section is a little bit small, but the pen itself isn't very heavy, so I find it pretty comfortable. Now here we have the Pelikan Italic Nib, and we can see the eye on there. This is a very basic stamping. It says Pelikan, and then we have the Pelikan logo, and that's really it. Plastic feed. Now, this Italic nib here is tipped, which is something you don't always see in Italic or stub steel nibs, especially if you have something like a Jovo nib. Here's a Nettuno NE 2.0 with a Jovo nib, and you'll see there's no tipping on there. So Pelikan is one of the few companies that tips stub steel nibs. So it's really nice. I love the way that this pen looks. Let's do some measurements, and then let's look at it compared to some Pelikan pens and some other pens. So in terms of the length, it's about 125 even, which is pretty short, but keep in mind the tops are on the flatter side. Unposted, looking at 123 roughly. Posted, looking at about 150. Now in terms of the grip section, at the widest, looking at 10, and the narrowest right before it flares out about 9.2. So it's not a super skinny grip section, but there isn't a lot of area here. You kind of have to grip it in pretty much one space. And I do find that sometimes I'm grabbing threading or this edge here, and it can make an indentation in my hand. I do find this pen to be comfortable despite that. 13.67 grams. This is almost empty, as you can kind of see, because it is a demonstrator. That's quite light. It doesn't have a cheap feeling, but it is very light. I mean, look at this, is crazy light. This is 8.8. So it's a lightweight pen, and I think that really helps from a comfort perspective, despite the fact that this pen is smaller. Now looking at it compared to some other Pelikans. Okay, so looking at it with some other Pelikans, here it is with a pre-97 M600. You can see the M600 just has a little bit more, an extra trim ring, and this has an 18 karat gold nib. So there are some differences there. Here it is with an M805, would be considered a modern full-size pen. And then here it is with an M1000, which is their oversized pen. And then let's check it against some typical pens. Or Optima, you can see the Optima is fatter and a bit longer, still a relatively short pen. Here it is with a Faber-Castell Hexo, which is a full-size pen, and a Pilot Vanishing Point. So it's a small pen by today's standard, but I still find it comfortable, and it's just, in my mind, when I think of Pelikan, this is what's right, because this is the iconic Pelikan size. So I like it. For the writing sample, I'm going to be using a Papermind Moe River notebook. For Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Now this pen is almost out of ink, so we're going to see if I need to refill it. Pelikan M200 Italic, and this is Octopus Caramel. That isn't spelled right, but some kind of German spelling. We did fast writing. Hard to do with a italic, but it's just easy to make a mistake. But this is really keeping up. And in terms of flexibility, this is actually quite a soft nib for a fine nib. So if we do no pressure, then apply some pressure, there is a bit of a difference there, and it just has a nice soft feel to it. No pressure, just so you can see the difference there. It's a fantastic nib. I really, really like it. I haven't tried reverse writing, but that would be kind of weird on this, and yeah, nothing's coming out there. I think we are running low on ink though. I mean, we definitely are running low on ink, so about to run out there. This has been such an enjoyable pen to use. Really fantastic italic nib. So what are my pros and cons for the Pelikan M200 Cognac fountain pen with Italic Nib. The big thing here is the nib. The nib is fantastic. I actually think the M200 nibs in general are fantastic, but I was really impressed with this Italic Nib. I wasn't sure this was a pen that, I would be adding to my collection, but after using it for a day or two, I was like, I'm gonna have to have this. It's really excellent. And I like the Cognac body. I think it's fun. It's something different. It's not that standard Pelikan look, which I don't personally love, but it does retain a lot of the classic elements, which I do appreciate. Very comfortable, very practical everyday pen. I really have been enjoying writing with it. I like the translucent Cognac body. It just makes it more fun, less of a serious, I'm an accountant kind of Pelikan pen. Sorry, Pelikan, I know. It's just very, very enjoyable to use. In terms of cons, it is on the smaller side for me. Now, it's not so small that I can't adapt to it. One of the big pros of this pen is I actually think that the M200 is one of the most collectible in the Pelikan lineup because they release all these different versions, and they've been doing new versions, I think essentially since inception, which was 1985. So that's really, this can be a fun pen to collect if you want to collect a pen. There's just many different versions, and it's very easy to kind of nerd out on the 200 series pens. In terms of cons, the biggest con for me, I think, is the size. I just wish it was a hair bigger. Now, I am able to adapt to this pen and use it very, very happily for long writing sessions, but I just know that the modern M600 and M800 are just a hair more comfortable for me. I can adapt to it, so it's not a huge deal, but I will point that out. For some people, they might find this pen a bit small. The other thing is, it is an expensive pen for a plastic steel nib pen. There's no getting around it. Around $280 retail, at least in the Cognac with the Italic Nib option. It's not cheap. However, I'm able to justify it because this pen is a proper thoroughbred at this point. It is a pen that's been on the market now for 40 years, since 1985, with roots going back even further than that with the 400 series pens. So Pelikan has figured out a lot in putting this pen together. It is a very solid, reliable everyday pen with fantastic in-house nibs and a really great piston filling system. It's a joy to use. The level of refinement here, I think, makes up for some of that higher price, is essentially what I'm trying to say. Yeah. This pen, for me, this pen is a banger. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen paper and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.